Hello, everyone, and welcome to this course, Business 410, on strategic management. I think the exact name of the course is Business Policy and Strategy, which is a holdover from the old days of academia when the course had that name, but it's really a course in strategic management and discusses how managers at all levels of the corporation, but especially in senior management, tie together the pieces of an enterprise so that it serves its markets, exploits opportunities in the economy and the industry as well as markets in order to maximize potential returns. So this is often called a capstone course because it enables you to integrate a number of the things that you've learned in your business management curriculum and to apply them in methods for conducting the integrated functions of management that tie things together in the pursuit of goals and objectives, so-called strategic management. So this video is intended to acquaint you with the course and to summarize how we're going to go through it. The video will not go into each of the elements of the course. That's not its purpose. But rather the purpose is simply to let you know what to expect and, among other things, how your grade will be calculated. So with that, let me see if I can pull up the PowerPoint slides that I've developed to provide you with this briefing. And there it is. So the course again for Business 410. This is the 8-week online version of the course for courses. Sorry, I got something stuck in my throat. But this is the so-called non-traditional, and so I should, whoa. Maybe I'll just leave that alone. But this is the online version for folks who don't attend traditional classes, but take the course from home, probably because they are working and can only attend classes on a part-time basis. So my respect goes out to you because in addition to pursuing your career, your work life, and your family life, you're taking time to secure a college degree. Congratulations for that. That takes a lot of effort. And with that, let me get started here, and we'll review the course scope and contents. The course is about strategic management. Business policy and strategy, as I mentioned, is a title that was used, frankly, a long time ago. But the course is about strategic management and how managers do the things that are summarized on this slide, taking a look at the firm's economic environment, as well as the marketing conditions and industry structure, and assessing them so that it's possible to form strategy and to, just as importantly, array the firm's resources and capabilities to exploit the external environment in order to satisfy customers' needs. So in addition, when we've done that, the strategic management involves selecting goals and the objectives of strategy. Strategy is the approach that we take to accomplish goals, but very often they're very broad in scope. And so we need to select, after we have the intended outcomes that we're seeking, the intended end results may be anywhere from 1 to 5 years from the present. We need to be more specific about exactly what it is that we need to accomplish in order to move toward goals achievement. And so we select strategic objectives before we form the actual strategy, consisting of activities that are instrumental in accomplishing strategic objectives. So finally, we form strategies, those programs of activities to achieve goals and objectives, and implement strategy successfully. Those are all the things that we'll be talking about in this course. And we'll be talking about methods for accomplishing these specific objectives. There is a page in the syllabus, and I hope you'll read it. This statement is extremely effective in summarizing exactly what the course is about. The course concentrates on managerial tasks of crafting and implementing comprehensive strategies and plans for achieving sustained competitive advantage, not short-term, but sustained. A fundamental theme of the course is that firms are most likely to achieve sustained success if their managers have sound strategic plans. It's both a skills course and a big picture course that integrates knowledge gained from prior business courses. It will sharpen your ability to think strategically by assessing and matching internal competences to opportunities and problems in the external business environment. You'll also learn how to select goals, develop strategic objectives, and form strategies to achieve those objectives. Thus, the course integrates perspectives of the chief executive, senior management, and indeed the entire management structure. So that's it in a nutshell. That's what this course is about. This is a little background on myself. Most students want to know something about their instructors and, among other things, whether they're competent to teach the course. I used to be Vice President of Corporate Planning and Development at Phillips Industries, where I also led the program to conduct some 22 acquisitions of other companies. Prior to that, I was Director of Corporate Planning at Holiday Inn and actually formed the company's first corporate planning department. That was a long time ago. I also was managing principal of a consulting firm in Ohio called Commercial Planning Consultants, and we went around the world and all over the United States helping companies form their strategic plans and implement them by either divesting parts of their businesses or acquiring others. I also was a senior consultant at Pete Marwick Mitchell & Company, which is now called KPMG. And way back there in my career, I was a senior internal consultant at PepsiCo. Since I retired from the consulting firm, right around the year 2000, 2001 perhaps, I got into academics. I had actually gotten into academics a couple of years before that as an adjunct instructor at the McGregor School of Management, and I was a strategy professor at the graduate management program there. Since then, since I retired, I was at North Carolina Wesleyan College for I think 6 or 7 years, and since then for the last 15 years, I think I've been at Mount Olive, where I'm currently a professor of management. So there, that's who I am. Back to the scope and objectives of this course, more important. Um, the course deals with the process of strategic management, how managers go through the process of doing those things I just mentioned, assessing the firm's capabilities. That's extremely important and very difficult to do because it's hard to be objective when you're assessing your own or your own firm's capabilities. It's hard to be objective when you're doing that. When we're looking at the external environment, we look at the economy, the market served by the firm, and the industry in which the firm participates. And that, again, takes a great deal of effort. Takes more effort than assessing internal competences. But when you're looking at factors outside the firm, it's easier to be objective than when you're looking at factors inside the firm. So once you've got that evidence about the external environment and internal capabilities, we can then get to the task of strategic planning based on that evidence. So we take a look at the overall purpose of the firm and never lose sight of it because the mission is subject to change from time to time. And then get more specific with regard to standards for success or goals, and more specific objectives that our strategy is intended to accomplish. And then finally, strategy itself and implementation, which calls for monitoring progress, replanning all the time, and control. Strategic planning doesn't occur just at the end of the fiscal year when you're putting together a new budget, but rather it goes on all year long as conditions change. And it's forward-looking. It doesn't end at the beginning, at the end of the current year or the upcoming year, because many of the projects and programs and the strategies that we develop in strategic planning don't have annual bounds. They just don't all end on December 31. They keep on going, and so the horizon of strategic plans almost invariably will go beyond the current year or the next year and reach out 3 to 5 years, which makes it a little more interesting because more can happen in that period of time to influence the firm's performance potential. So what does this course do for you? It'll enable you to acquire essential strategic management skills and to gain an appreciation of what it takes to be a winner in competition, distinctive competence, and the firm's competitive position in the environment. Also to appreciate differences in strategic planning for an individual business as opposed to a corporation that has many businesses. And in a corporation that has many businesses, or at least more than one, then planning for the single business has to be done, and then planning for the collection of businesses has to be done. And those are two different kinds of strategic planning, and we'll get into those. So then you'll also learn some techniques for forming goals, objectives, and strategy. Become aware of the difficulty and capabilities required to implement strategy. You'll appreciate the dynamic nature of strategy and the need to plan and replan continuously. As I said a minute ago, when your plan is done, the work doesn't end, it goes on. But there's usually a big effort at least once a year to review everything and make sure that any changes that have to be made are made. And finally, perhaps just because of my background in top corporate management, my intent is to share with you the strategic concerns of top management as decisions are made about strategy and implementation of strategy. So how are we going to do this? Now, the problem that we have is that we're only going to be able to have this course for 7 weeks. It's called an 8-week course because an extra week is allowed for instructors to pull together all the results of the course, calculate grades, and turn them in. And while they're doing that, they can't be teaching another course, or they can, but it gets to be pretty rough. So it's an 8-week course where there are 7 weeks of instruction. So it's really a 7-week course. And that means that the work that we normally would do in a traditional 16-week course, we have less than half the time that is available in a traditional course. And we have to compromise a few things and be very efficient. And I'm sorry to say, you have to work a little bit harder because we have to cram into this course in 7 weeks what is essentially accomplished in 16 weeks traditionally. So be prepared to do some work, to take some time and do some reading. This will require effort on your part. Now, there will be, I believe, 5 lectures in this course, at least 3 of which are quite long. And I'm sorry for that. A couple of them go over 2 hours. So you want to be prepared to push the pause button and take a break before looking at the rest of the video. The reason that these videos are as long as they are is because they deal with subjects that strategic management textbooks don't usually cover, and yet are vitally important. And primarily, the material I'm talking about has to do with gathering evidence for making strategic decisions. As you might imagine, economic conditions, especially having gone through the pandemic as we have, can really impact a firm's strategic problems and opportunities. But in strategic management textbooks, we almost never see any discussion of the relevance of economic conditions to strategic alternatives. And yet, having practiced strategic management for more than 4 decades, I think it's getting pretty, I think probably I was in practice almost 5 decades. I can tell you from actual experience that economic assessment of the business environment is critically important. The same is true of marketing conditions. And once again, strategic management textbooks just don't make that connection for you. There may be a slight mention, but not enough to enable you to see how assessment of market conditions can be brought into the strategic planning process. So once again, I'll be discussing that in a lecture. And finally, the assessment of an industry's structure and trends is discussed in strategic management textbooks. Thanks to a substantial extent to a guy named Michael Porter, many of whose models were developed in the 1980s and 90s, are still in broad use today. Since his work, others have added to the literature on industry structure and relevance to strategic management. But again, unfortunately, strategic management textbooks usually select just one or two models or approaches, but don't really get into industry analysis satisfactorily. So once again, I've provided you with some more comprehensive information on that subject. The other two lectures will be about forming strategic decisions and implementing strategy, and they are not as long as those on gathering evidence. Anyway, I've provided a lot of lecture material in the form of videos, just like this one, which I hope you will be able to view and benefit from. I've also provided in the Moodle shell copies of the PowerPoint slides that I use in each lecture so that you can print them off, either follow along in the lecture with me or use the PowerPoint slides to review for quizzes and tests. And I certainly recommend that you do so. So in this course, we'll also review 10 chapters in a textbook. And this is a very good textbook. I chose it because, for one reason, two reasons really. One is that it only has 10 chapters. You know, lots of strategy textbooks have 15, 16, 17 chapters. But this is a very good, high quality textbook, which manages to get things into 10 chapters, which makes it a little easier for us to get through it in a 7-week course. Another reason for choosing this book is that one of its authors is a disciple of Michael Porter's and is a real expert in the so-called resource-based view of competitive advantage. Her name is Margaret Pederaff, and she is really a long ball hitter in strategic management. And so some of the material in this textbook reflects her expertise, and I think you will be better off if you can learn from it. So there will be quizzes on every lecture and every chapter. In addition, we'll choose 3 mini cases. There are several mini cases scattered throughout the textbook, but in the second half, after we're done with those big lectures, we'll take a look at the 3 sets of mini cases that they're little vignettes, really short stories about how companies have dealt with particular strategic issues. I've chosen 3 collections of mini cases in 3 different chapters, and I'll be asking you to write your assessment of what these cases mean or how principles of strategic management apply to them. Throughout the course, you should be reviewing a company, a strategic management case. And I'll show you a list of cases that we'll be choosing from in another slide here very shortly. But we'll choose it at the beginning of the semester. And then as we go through the course, you should be making notes about that particular case and that the company that the case is written about, so that in the final week, we can really work on that case, really chew it up. And there will be a final exam on that case at the very end of the last week. So there will be 2 tests as well as the final exam, and there they are. Okay. You may notice that the chapters 1 to 4 are followed by chapter 9. Chapter 9 is on ethics, and chapters 1 and 4 are on internal capabilities and methods, as opposed to forming strategy later on. In some of the courses, I've moved chapter 9 down to to the second half, because there is so much in those first lectures that even though chapter 9 really belongs in the first half of the course, I've moved it down. And so just for the heck of it, I'll cut this out right now, and I'll put it here. Actually, I don't have to cut it. I can just do this, and chapter 9 is then there. And in fact, we now, the chapters have been renumbered. So down here, we have chapters 4 and 5. I really thought I had made these changes, and it may be that after I do, Moodle, for some reason, does not allow the changes to be kept after I've made them, because I really did make those changes previously. Okay, so what do you have to do to complete this course successfully? You have to pass quizzes on 10 chapters and 5 lectures. Take 2 tests on that material. Answer discussion questions about 3 sets of many cases, and take the final exam. Here's how your grade will be calculated. Quizzes are not really meant to assess your performance in the course. Quizzes originally were intended as learning aids. So theoretically, after you take a quiz, you find out what questions you didn't get right. You go look them up in the book and find out what the correct answer is. And then when you come across that same information in the test, you'll be able to answer the question correctly. That's the way quizzes are supposed to work. Therefore, quizzes theoretically shouldn't have any grade weight at all. The problem, of course, is that if no grade weight were given to the quizzes, you probably would not take them, and then their purpose would be lost entirely. So we've put 15 points to attach 15 points to the quizzes. Each of the tests are worth 20 points, and so 40 in total. The mini case discussion questions are also important, and collectively they're worth 20 points as well. That final exam sort of brings everything together, and so it's received a heavy weight of 20 points. I wrestle with that because it's only done in 1 week, but we're supposed, as we go through the course, to talk about and think about that case and how each of the principles in each of the chapters, the 10 chapters, apply to that course, to that company that we've chosen at the beginning of the course. So 20 points it seems to be fair, but it does, the 20 points means that this is a pretty important item. Keep that in mind as we go through the course, and let it encourage you to review that company as we work our way through the course. Okay, so the corporate strategy case There are lots of possibilities. Over the years, I've used the drug wars, the competition between Pfizer, Merck, AstraZeneca, Eli, Lilly, and so forth. There are so many drug companies. It's a great case. Boeing versus Airbus is another great case because Boeing is an American company, Airbus is a European company, and lo and behold, two new large aircraft manufacturers have emerged in China and Russia, which really complicates matters and makes for a very interesting case. And I think there's a list of other cases like that in a slide pretty quickly here, but there are a lot of them. And so as we go through the course, I'll try to talk about how to view the case that we study and how the principles of the chapter that we're looking at or the lecture might apply to that case. So at the end of the course, we'll have a couple of days where we can really delve into that case. And during that week, you should be preparing for a final exam on that case. Your textbook has a few cases at the back of it. These are these are six that I thought were particularly appropriate for a case review at the end of the course. If you think that you might be interested in one of these cases more than the others, send me a note and let me know. I can't promise that I'll accept your suggestion, but it'll certainly influence my thinking. But each one of these cases in the back of your book is pretty substantial. It's got a lot of material in it that we can talk about during the course and in that 7th week. So I mentioned that over the years I've looked at a lot of cases with students in my classes, and this is a short list of them. But you can appreciate just what kind what a large variety there is. For instance, Walgreens versus CVS versus Rite Aid, how Walgreens acquired a company in Europe in order to expand into the international markets, how CVS acquired a healthcare management company in order to gain greater control over the prescriptions that it has to fill, and so forth, and just earn additional fee income. But anyway, there's quite, as you can see, there's quite a list here. And one of the interesting things about these cases is that every one of these companies has an arch rival, a company that it battles against, which makes for, again, a very interesting case. We may choose one of these, although I confess that in a 7-week course, it'll be a little easier for you to get the information in the cases at the back of the book. So I guess I'm leaning in that direction right now, but not for sure. When we start the course, I will announce the decision as to which company we'll study. Even if we choose one of these, you're going to need to use a little initiative and go out and get some current information from the company itself, from its website, by getting in touch with the company, asking for an annual report and a Form 10K, and doing a little bit of research on the internet. And of course, in the case of these companies, you've got to start from scratch and get that information. So Here's how the course will unfold in terms of the specifics. The first part is about the firm and its environment. Chapters 1 through 4 are include basic concepts, how strategy is formed as a process, industry analysis, and resources and capabilities. And here we're getting the input from Professor Pederaff that I mentioned earlier. My lectures will be on, first of all, an introduction to the discipline and profession of strategic management, and then we'll get into external environment and capabilities assessment. So let's see. Part 2 is about making and implementing strategic decisions. Lecture 4 is about strategic decisions, and Lecture 5 is on implementation. And then chapters, and here we have Chapter 9 in the right place. That's a lot of chapters. The good news is that with a couple of exceptions, the chapters in this book are surprisingly not lengthy. They're outline-like in format, pretty specific, and yet they really touch on the important professional principles of practice, and I think that you will be well served by that textbook. If you want to get into general management or perhaps strategic management in your career, you might be wise not to sell your book back, but to keep it, because this will be a very useful manual when you get into the company that you're going to build a career in, because strategic management pervades the entire enterprise today, and you'll be involved in it one way or another. There we have then the chapters 5 through 8 are about generic strategy, very basic strategy, how strategic moves are made to capture competitive advantage, and the specific matters of international strategy and diversification. And then in chapter 10, there's a discussion of the operating capabilities that are required to implement strategy. So only 10 chapters, but I think they cover the gamut pretty well. A couple suggestions. First, make a loose leaf binder. Do that. Do yourself that favor. Get a 3-ring binder and print those PowerPoints that I mentioned. There's a set of PowerPoint slides for every chapter and every lecture. So why not print them off? You know, you can print them 4 to a page or 6 to a page. You don't have to have a single page for each slide. But rather, you know, usually you can put 6 slides per page and pretty much still be able to read them when you get them. The ones you can't, of course, you can print in full size if you need to. But when it comes time to study for a quiz or an exam, that 3-ring binder will be gold. In addition, if you have another tab for that case, as we go through the course and as you gather information about the case, you can put it in a separate section of your binder. And so when we get to the 7th week, you'll have your material, you'll be prepared to participate in the discussions, and more importantly, you'll have material for review when it comes time to take the final exam. So it's a smart move to make a 3-ring binder. Incidentally, once again, when you get into your career, and you're all seniors, or you should be if you're taking this course, you're about ready to move into a corporation. And when you do, this textbook and that 3-ring binder could be valuable to you. Um, so another suggestion, many of you will not follow this suggestion, sadly, but if you read the chapter before we discuss it in one of our online classes, that is certainly to be desired, because then what we'll be doing is, for you, is a review of the most important points in the chapter. As a result, you're going to be better equipped to take the quiz. And you can probably just, when the class is over, since the class for you will be a review, you can just take the quiz, because you'll be sharp on it, and you'll have done your review. You'll probably get a really good grade. Now, we do have a little problem, and that is that if you were to see our chapter, our daily schedule, and I don't have it here, you'll see that in some weeks we've got to read 3 chapters. And I can't really go through 3 PowerPoints for 3 chapters in a single online class. And as I make this recording, I don't know whether the university is going to permit us to have 2 online classes per week or just 1, as in the fall semester. I'm sorry, that's my telephone answering system. In any event, the problem is that we may not be able to go over all of the chapters with PowerPoint slides in every class, and I doubt that we can. So for the chapters that we do not go over, I will prepare a video and post it to Moodle so that you can still get my input as to what the most important points of the chapter that we did not discuss in class are. And I hope that will serve your purpose. It's always difficult to cover everything and do a really good job for you in a 7-week class, but I'll certainly do my best. So another suggestion would be to don't wait to start learning about that company that we select. If it's one of those that is written up in the back of the book, read that case in the back of the book. Get in touch with the company. Ask for an annual report or a Form 10K. Learn more about the company by going to the internet and put that material in that last section of your 3-ring binder. And finally, I've posted both videos and PowerPoints for my lectures, and I will post some videos for some of the chapters, as I just mentioned. Very often in the videos, although I sometimes get a little wordy, and I'm sorry, but as I talk about the material in the video, I'll often add some thoughts or some facts that are not covered in the PowerPoints, but they, on occasion, may be useful to you in your career. So you can, if you're in a big hurry, you can use the PowerPoints to review. If you have the time, I strongly recommend taking the time to look at the videos, even though a couple of them are long. So I think that's our last slide, which means we're at the end of this video. I have no idea how long it lasted, but probably longer than it should have. In any event, welcome to the course. I hope you enjoy it, but Whether you enjoy it or not is less important to me than the knowledge that you get from it and the benefit that it gives you in your career. That's what you're here for, and that's what I'm here for too. So with that, welcome, and I'll hope to meet you in person someday. But in the meantime, for now, I'll just say goodbye.